you going to do at the end of the day?
Sometimes they don't.
Sometimes things work, and sometimes they don't.
The truer words were never spoken.
And isn't that crazy world, the crazy world of technology, as we've learned as podcast hosts, business owners, creators of the number 12 podcast in Algeria. It's been a tough ride, but yeah, we've managed to pull on through.
And you would think, you know, we cover all these stories about this supposed extraterrestrial tech that's been recovered from UAPs that have been down on Earth. Like, why can I still not get like a decent Wi-Fi signal in my own house? Like, where's all this tech?
You know,
no, that's
probably not in your laptop from 2013. To answer your question, Jason.
Guess you're probably right.
As a general rule of thumb, if my mom might have been alive when you brought your laptop, it's going to start to experience some issues right now.
Man.
I was considering fucking law school as a path when you bought that shit.
No, I didn't buy it. That's why I have it. But, right.
Be a different podcast.
But would it be number? Right.
Oh,
but would it be number 12
in Algeria law school
if you went to law school and had the different podcast? Probably not.
Yeah, no, it'd be easy as fuck to have the number 12 law podcast in Algeria. I would call it, "Is this illegal here?" In the end, and I would just come on the air every week and say yes.
I don't know. I guess I don't know that much about Algeria. I don't know much about their jurisprudence.
Well, you know, believe it or not, Jason, the reason why you don't know anything about that is that we've wiped your memories of things not relevant to this podcast. And this podcast, Jason, it is not about Algerian jurisprudence. It hasn't been for a long time.
Stunning revelation.
This is Underworld News Tonight. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It is. We stun them every week, Jason. We stun them every week. This is Underworld News Tonight, where we bring you the weird, wacky, and wild news of the week. Neither seasonal allergies nor some tech issues that are continuing, as you could hear from the possible slight lag on this podcast, can keep us from entertaining you. I'm Andrew Michaels, stalwart man of the people, and I am joined, of course, by Jason Strong, the inventor of reverse butt chugging.
Yeah, it hasn't really paid off as much as I thought it would be. Especially now that Jackass isn't on the air anymore.
Well, I think now is the time to start your own.
Do you think there's a market for videos of stuff coming out of my butt?
I think that your stint as the human champagne flute, I mean, first off, let's just say it. I know that we have some listeners that are, you know, closer to death than we would like them to be, but they're not boomers yet. And you know, like, so they don't necessarily know what's it called, terrestrial TV,
right?
Meat TV,
the cord, the encorded TV,
whatever the fuck it's called. You guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the TV that you can't watch on your PlayStation.
Yeah. No.
There's all this shit on there, and we don't know what it is. I think that's what the Masked Singer is.
Yeah, I don't think I know either.
We may never know. And I'll tell you something, Jason. You think working here is a rough job. Well, then imagine what it's like working there on The Masked Singer. And if you think that's a rough job, have I got a story for you. This one is from the Irish Star. That's when you do your reverse butt chugging human champagne flute stunt, but with Guinness. U.S. Air Force insider
Hmm.
claims he was offered job on UFO crash team, but turned it down for quote unquote gross reason. Jason Sands claims to have been part of a
Hmm.
U.S. Air Force program, AMME, because this was written in Ireland, that
Hmm.
was set up to investigate UFOs and their occupants, and says he was even offered a job on a team that
Wow.
recovered downed alien craft. Now I'm going to take a sip of water because, as you guys can hear,
Yeah.
and as I said, I do have some
Yeah,
seasonal
it's rough out
allergies
here.
going on.
Yeah. Perfect.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
There's that.
Perfect.
Yeah, there is that sexy voice that
Hmm.
you remember. Uh, a USAF
Right.
insider, that's U.S. Air Force for those of us in the know like me, has claimed that the Air Force's capability. Oh, by the way, this
Okay.
story is by Michael Moran and John O'Sullivan. I don't know if I said that. That is the
Oh,
audience writer and the audience editor.
right.
Which, like, way to tell on your writer that he got edited. Like, you didn't need to tell the editing
Right.
job was that
Right.
bad.
So
He
much
wasn't
so
really
that he
fucked it
gets a
up, you know.
credit.
Uh,
Like, look, I had to rewrite half this shit, buddy.
exactly. Like, if I, yeah. Oh my god.
Hmm. Yep.
Now, a USAF insider, that's U.S. Air Force, if you're in the know, has claimed that the Air Force's
Hmm.
responsibilities extend beyond earthly conflicts, suggesting they're also keeping an eye on extraterrestrial activities. Of course, this is something we've discussed quite heavily. The article mentions the testimony of David Grush. Former intelligence officer David Grush has testified
Right.
before a national security
Hmm.
subcommittee, revealing conversations with around 40 individuals who have allegedly seen
Hmm.
captured UFOs in top secret storage facilities. I question if I've
I
had
was gonna say.
conversations with 40
Right.
individuals in my life.
Yeah.
Discrete individuals, you know?
Right. Right.
Because I feel like
Right.
as
Because
an adult, you kind of just find like three, like full
sure.
conversations with
Sure.
discrete individuals, I should say, not like hello, like superficial shit. You find like
Uh
two of
huh.
those to have real conversations
Right.
with a year, and one's
Yeah.
always
No,
my
that's an
wife.
excellent point. Okay. So yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah, so one of these informants, Jason Sands, has now come forward, sharing the peculiar reason he rejected an offer to
Okay.
join a team tasked with recovering alien spacecraft. He remarked,
Of course.
they tried to recruit me. Sorry, I had to scroll past a bunch of ads. He remarked, they tried to recruit me into the retrieval program early on, but I refused because I thought it was kind of gross picking
So
up
he's
the
taking kind
bodies
of a
and things
moral
like that.
stand, or I guess a grossness stand.
No, it's not a moral stand. It's like
Right.
yeah,
But
it's like
also, he's in
it's
the
like hey,
military, right? So he's indirectly responsible for
yeah, he's in
making
the Air
bodies.
Force.
So it seems maybe a little like
Yeah, but that's one of the more
right.
indirect
I get
branches you
that,
could
but it
be
still
in.
seems maybe a little yeah, a little like hypocritical to right. Like, I'm cool with making them,
It's
don't
not
ask me to
great.
handle them. But anyway, yeah, so he doesn't he turned down
I mean,
no, you're
that's how a
actually
lot of
that's a
men
really
feel
good
about
point.
children.
Yeah. That's a really good point. Um no, so he turned down this sounds like it'd be like a pretty exciting job. But he didn't want to deal with dead alien pieces. Mhm.
I mean, he did not want to deal with them. Just didn't want to touch it. Didn't want to
That would be pretty
see their
weird, I
gross little
guess.
dicks, maybe.
Do you?
Because you know when you die, you
I
get
don't
a
know. Yeah,
boner.
yeah. This could honestly be the truth. I wouldn't know. I have yet to
Yeah, I think
die,
so.
so I don't know.
I mean, your wife's a vet. Ask her if she's ever seen a
Yeah,
boner on a dead
I'll see
gerbil.
if I'll work that into the conversation.
Despite several efforts to undermine Sands' credibility,
Mhm.
evidence supports that he did serve in the U.S. Air Force. He has provided legitimate
Okay.
documentation verifying his service entry and discharge dates. He alleges that during his 22-year tenure with the USAF, he
Hmm.
was privy to top secret information. Part of his role, he claims, involved working with technology seeds in various terrestrial conflicts, mastering and countering weapon systems used by
Hmm.
hostile groups and governments on our planet.
That sounds interesting. Yeah, I guess for me, I didn't really question his service. Like, I sort of took him at his word that he was in the Air Force.
He is the one. If if it wasn't for this man, you would
Yeah.
be speaking Iraqi right
Yep.
now.
True enough. Thank you for your service, and sorry that dead alien bodies gross you out.
Yet, thank you for your service, Mr. Sands. If you ever come on this podcast, I will give you a free
No, that's
massage,
true. I certainly
which we
haven't
don't give
gotten
other
one.
guests.
Yeah,
Scott
that's
Curtis can
fair.
have a massage if he
I
comes back,
That's fine. Yeah.
but you have to give that one.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yet, Yet he reveals there was a more exotic aspect to his duties, quote unquote exotic aspect to his duties, which entailed trying to comprehend technology obtained from quote unquote
Hmm.
non human intelligences. Sands was a member of a quote unquote red
Yeah.
team. Too many fucking quote unquotes in these articles. Tasked with overseeing the scientists' communications and preventing any information breaches. During this time, he overheard the researchers discussing
Hmm.
interactions with multiple extraterrestrial species. He recounted, on the missions we did intercept traffic that dealt with what I found very strange. Some of those dealt with some of the other races that are involved. They mentioned
No.
the
Okay.
tall whites, not Norwegians. That is a type of alien that's been
Uh-huh.
alleged to be in contact with the government,
Okay.
benevolent,
Tall
albeit a
whites.
bit
Sure.
weird and standoffish. You could read more about them in a book that's named I forget. But if you Google tall whites aliens,
Thank
it's
God.
not like a Nazi
Yeah.
thing as much as
Uh-huh.
it sounds like one. And the Greys, and we know what the Greys are.
Hmm.
We heard things like that. Furthermore, he disclosed that there were facilities scrutinizing materials gathered from UAP crash sites, although he declined an invitation to join one of the recovery teams. Initially, a skeptic regarding alien encounters when he encountered the programs, Sands has
Hmm.
since undergone a complete transformation in belief. While acknowledging that many specifics of the program remain under wraps, he shared, I can tell you that we're not alone. We do have some contact with aliens, the alien, that's in brackets. Sands has made the bold claim that the U.S. Air
Hmm.
Force's investigation into unidentified craft has been ongoing for approximately 80 years, expressing that the scientists involved have experienced significant frustration due to minimal advancements achieved during this period. He notes that the earliest records he encountered
Right.
were from
Yeah.
1954.
Yeah.
And of course, Roswell, that's 1947. So, there are
Right.
documented allegations from before that, uh,
Yeah.
making this quite a long-standing thing. In contrast, Sams points out that scientists engaged in the broader program, which
Hmm.
examines technology captured from terrestrial adversaries, had more tangible data to work with. He remarked, the scientists were completely fine with researching that because it was stuff that had Russian writing on it or Chinese writing,
Hmm.
so they could decipher. But what if, Jason, the aliens know Mandarin? It's going to be the
It would only
dominant
make sense.
language of business in the next
Sure.
30 years.
Who knows? Yeah, it would
Probably the
only
next
make
20,
sense. Yeah.
maybe the next 10. Yeah, they should learn
Yeah.
that before they learn English.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah. I guess just proportionate of as like a proportion of the global
Even,
population, right? You think there's more Mandarin speakers than English speakers? If only that.
mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no, definitely, 100%. There has to be.
Right.
There's a billion people in China. There's 300. Oh, I'm gonna look this shit up. That is an interesting question. English speaking population. So 1.5 billion people speak language total. 26% of whom speak it as their first
Sure.
language. Most English speakers do not speak it as their first language.
I know.
So man, our listeners get to learn something
Uh-huh.
today. What a delight for them. 1.5 billion. Uh, what's 26? All right, 1.5 billion times 26%. That's 390 million people speak English as a primary language. Number of. Let's just look up population of mainland China because that's the primary language
Don't they
there.
speak other languages too, though? I guess I don't really know. Mhm.
There are 1.4 billion people in mainland China. All right, Mandarin speaking. And I assume you meant
Right.
like as their first language,
I
not
know.
like as a second language, right? We're way off
No, but
topic,
it's
I
it's
know,
an
but
interesting question, I guess, because I think especially, uh, when talking about, like, these UAP investigations, and it feels very, like, American or Eurocentric in a weird way that, like yeah, I guess that's
well,
true.
no, we have
Yeah.
a lot of stories from India, though. I mean, India is
No, you're
become a big
right. Yeah,
hub.
you did.
Especially I've tried to report a lot on the India stories.
Yeah,
I look a lot for Africa stories and sometimes get them. And you assume that China, in particular, I don't know if you're a news guy, it
sure.
might be a bit more restrictive in
No,
some
yeah, that
ways.
makes that makes sense.
I I can't wait to go on our Beijing tour, though. It'll be fun
You're
putting
right.
together our position statement on Taiwan. Uh, Even when lacking linguistic hints, the Russian or
Mhm.
Chinese tech was sufficiently akin to
Sure.
Western armaments that researchers could quickly ascertain its function. However, Sands reveals that this other stuff was totally dumbfounding the scientists and the engineers. According to Intrigue, Sands recounts an experience where an
Hmm.
extraterrestrial entity communicated with him through telepathy. After conversing with others associated with the project, he is convinced that, quote, they have seen some things, ghosts and interdimensional beings, all kinds of different things. He concluded with a statement reflecting his astonishment. It just blows my mind, and it probably blows a lot of
I
other
think that's a
people's
fair
minds too.
characterization. That's interesting, that turn at the end that so the, extraterrestrials have seen ghosts and other entities? That's the claim?
Let me verify that just to be sure. Yes, they've seen
Wow.
ghosts and interdimensional beings and all kinds of different things.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. That could be actually, yeah, that
Could
could
just mean
be.
they've watched our movies, though.
I wonder, do you think assuming that there are extraterrestrials coming, visiting Earth, they watch something like, Arrival, and it's just, like, uproariously funny to them, how, like, off base we are about everything?
I think they watch the porn parodies. I think they're like, what
Really?
has the most viewership? And
Okay.
it's like the Guardians of the Galaxy porn
Yeah,
parody, and they watch
that would make
that.
sense. Yeah, I guess also that explains maybe why they're not super interested in, or they don't appear to be, super interested in communicating with us in, like, a larger scale, because they've seen the kinda crap we put out, and they're like, "I don't know." Maybe they talk to, like, specific people.
It
Right, right, we
explains why
thought
they
this was
anal probe her
hello.
so much. They're like, we thought you liked this.
Um, no, that's interesting. Although I do wonder, I mean, obviously, the guy said he had like a 24-year career, so, his service in the Air Force predates, the creation of the Space Force. But wouldn't you do you think, like, it feels like Space Force would be more who should be doing
Right.
this, but also if it's top secret, maybe the Air Force doesn't want to transfer it, or
Um,
you know what I mean? Like, just
I yeah, I don't know enough about the inner
that's true.
workings of things. I mean, but it's always a shit show in the government, right? Think
Right.
about like when the
Right.
FBI gets involved in a police investigation, let alone when the CIA gets involved. Like there are so many times where like three
Right.
or four government agencies like CIA, FBI, ATF, and local police
Yeah.
on drug cases
Right.
can all be
Yeah, and they
competing
don't.
on the
Yeah, that's
same
true.
issue.
They don't share information very well. No, that's cool. I wonder what Mr. Sands is up to now. It would seem. I guess I can't imagine like. And again, he wasn't even he turned down the recovery team, but he just heard about this thing, secondhand. But just to have like that knowledge, and then what you retire, yeah. Then he retires,
Yeah,
and
he was
then
like, "Am
what?
I gonna have to touch a body?" Yeah,
Like you have all this, you know.
yeah. Well,
Hmm.
let me tell you something. If this is for the U.S. government, this is for our FBI, CIA listeners. Um, if you guys need anyone
Hmm.
to get some of these alien bodies for you, I think Jason Strong is willing to go in and
I'll grab
grab your
whatever.
tits.
No, if someone approached you with a job like that, what do you think? Is that something maybe you'd be a? Do you think you'd be up for? Like, without knowing, I mean, because it could be anything. Like we have no idea what they anatomy, physical, chemical makeup.
I would do it, but I'd probably have to stop smoking weed,
Yeah,
and that I wouldn't do that to do it.
I don't know. It might help in a way. Like if you know, like if you're a
Yeah,
janitor,
they shouldn't.
if yeah, some jobs it helps to be like a little
Oh
hobby.
yeah.
Kind of makes the day go by. I don't know if like
Oh
scraping.
yeah. Dare I
Yeah,
say most jobs, especially the ones that our
maybe
listeners
I don't
have
know.
while and are at
Maybe
while
some of
listening
our
to this
listeners are
show.
on these recovery teams. That'd be I'd be interested to hear from them. What did you scrape out of a crashed
Yeah.
flying saucer?
Yeah, let us know. Underworld News Tonight at gmail.com. I'm pretty sure you could just hit
I
up a
think so. Yeah, it
Gmail
should be fine.
from being in the
Yeah,
government. You won't get caught. We'll
yeah.
be happy to
No,
know.
that's a pretty fun story. All right. Our next story here comes to us from bringing it up Live Science. This is written by Stephanie Pappas, who
Okay.
apparently did a good enough job that her editor doesn't deserve a credit in this.
Ooh, wow.
Headline: Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Good for
an
her.
extra moon may be orbiting Earth, and scientists think they know exactly where it came from. This seems like kind of a big deal. Like maybe I should have heard about this. Like you know, maybe New York Times
Hmm.
or like a bigger.
Yeah.
I wish you would.
Can I ask a stupid question? I would think, because I don't
A
live in
little
like the
bit.
big
Yeah.
city.
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
you live in more of a city than I do, probably. I feel like if we had a second moon now, I would have seen it at night. And the first time, I
Right.
maybe would have thought I was just
Right.
hammered. But like the
No, that's a
fourth
fair
time,
point. The perhaps this article will elucidate more of that for us. Uh, the near Earth asteroid uh, Kamo Olawea, Kamo Owala, Kamo Owalawea, Kamo Owala, yeah. Uh, it orbits
you
Earth
got it.
alongside our planet as a mini moon. May have originated from the uh, Giordano Bruno crater on the far side of the moon. New research suggests. So it's already kind of heading into this as if we know about this second moon. I
Is that the guy who
think
lives in there? Is that the name of a guy we
no,
executed by sending
I
him there
think
just for being Italian?
I think this crater, and I could be wrong. Um, people write in and let me know. I believe Giordano Bruno, for whom this crater is named after, he was the founder of Giordano's Pizza in Chicago. Part of the famous, like the classic Chicago deep dish pizza. Um, in which case, like,
Ooh,
yes, absolutely, he deserves to have a crater on the moon named after him. uh,
absolutely. Well, la di da. Are they have they found all the craters on the moon?
I
Maybe we could get one
the
one
moon,
day.
I have to think we're pretty well cratered out. Um, but there's all kinds of like right. Yeah. Now who knows?
For
Knock
now.
on wood. Um, there's all kinds of astronomical objects though. We could probably get something named, like a canal on an exoplanet or yeah, some obscure moon crater. Um, yeah, the
Yeah,
near
that'd be
Earth
cool.
asteroid 469219. I'm going to use that instead of trying to pronounce the Hawaiian name again. Well, that one already has the
Name that
name.
after us.
Yeah.
Oh no, 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 no. Oh, that already has the Hawaiian name.
Um, it is
Yeah.
a yeah, it is a what did I say? Yeah, asteroid 4469219. Obviously, asteroid. It is actually to kind of summarize the article here because it gets a little like sciency. Uh, and I also like looked up because I'd never heard of this, and I would think I would have.
Uh,
Right.
we
That the
only deal
asteroid
in
was
hard
only
science on
just
this show,
discovered in
though.
2016 by researchers at Hala Akalawa Observatory in Hawaii, diameter of about 100 to 200 feet, spins at a rapid clip of one rotation every 28 minutes. Technically, it orbits the sun, but it's also caught in Earth's gravitational pull. So while it's orbiting the sun, it's also orbiting the Earth. If you could visualize that like at all, so it's more fair to say like
Okay,
it orbits the sun, but has a wobble
I think so.
in its trajectory that has it. Like the moon completely orbits
Yeah,
orbits the Earth as the Earth orbits the sun, right? Like whereas this, it's clearly orbiting the sun, but it sort of wobbles around,
yeah, and
right?
then this is kind of
Um,
being pulled away on each
but
orbit.
it's still fascinating to me that, like, first of all, this thing is orbiting Earth, and we just saw it. We saw it like not even 10 years ago. We just discovered this. Um, the right. Um,
No,
and it's
I
gonna
know
get
it's
it's gonna
crazy.
get weirder here in a second. Yeah. So what it is researchers they speculate based on uh, some data they were able to retrieve about the composition of the asteroid, that it's made up of the same has the same
Mhm.
what's the word? I keep wanting to say rock. It's made up of the same kind of rock as the moon is. There's probably a more scientific, the same, I don't know, molecules, but yes, yes,
I think rock is the scientific term. Like I took like geology in high school, my junior and
yeah,
senior year, because it was like notably easier than chemistry or physics. And
yeah.
I think
Okay.
they do just say the word
I
rock a
mean, I could
lot.
talk about
Maybe,
like the mass
yeah.
spectrometry. I guess I can't talk about it. The mass spectrometry that they use to determine that its composition is the same as the moon. But speculation is that asteroid was part of the moon. Yeah.
I'm gonna
The asteroid
say
was
let's
part of the
not
moon,
do
that
that.
at some point in the moon's history, something collided with the moon, shore off this piece of rock, and now it's spinning with us around the sun.
Well, isn't there a theory? I'm basing what I'm saying right now off of
Uh-huh.
a documentary I watched in my earth space
Mhm.
science class 13 years ago, and I hope to God that Mr.
Yeah.
Price is not listening right now because he'll be having a fucking aneurysm. Um, isn't the moon based on like an asteroid hit our Earth and then
That
it
I
fused
believe
with a chunk of
I've
our
heard
Earth
the
or
same
something?
theory too. Um, I don't know enough. I don't know if we've like evolved since then. But at last I
Yeah,
heard, which was probably, yeah, 10th grade or whatever, that was the theory about where the moon came from, was we were all one big molten ball. Yeah.
yeah, and you did hear that theory from me while we were. Yeah, you didn't hear that theory from me while we were crushing
Uh,
beers before our old call center job, did
not
you?
not that particular theory. Um, yeah, no. Yeah, I
Okay,
believe I've
great.
heard that. I mean, I guess if you go back far enough in uh, like cosmological history, everything kind of was one thing for a very long time before it started cooling and like spitting out and forming all the planets and other celestial bodies that we've all come to know and love. Uh, so
Mhm.
yeah, interestingly, so we've recently discovered the asteroid. Figured that it's probably a part of the moon, an old part of the moon that got blown away. China is actually planning a space launch to land on the asteroid in 2025 and bring material back. Uh, Not just it's in a similar way that the U.S. faked the moon landing. They are now going to fake their own
Ooh.
version of the moon landing. Right. It should. Yeah.
Oh, it's probably easier because an asteroid is smaller.
Right. And these days with
Smaller
like
set, lower
CGI
budget.
technology and stuff, y- like I they probably don't even need a set. Right. It's just a guy with a laptop. No.
and the artistry is
No,
gone
right.
from it. Like
It's
they
yeah.
don't
It
have a
won't be.
Kubrick
It'll lack
today.
the soul of the original fake moon landing.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, they're gonna launch.
yeah, and that's not to
No,
downplay
no, no, no,
contemporary Chinese
please.
cinema.
Yeah,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the actual story. I just want to say
no.
I'm not downplaying contemporary Chinese cinema. I'm just saying around the world, I don't think a fake moon landing is going to have the artistic value today
um,
that
no.
it did in the '60s.
Uh, but yeah, super cool. Like I said, I had no idea. Well, and I guess humankind in general didn't know until 2016 that there was another object orbiting Earth. I was I was curious, so I looked if there's anything
Wow.
else, right? Like orbiting Earth, because I always was taught that Earth and the Moon kind of had this monogamous relationship where other planets could have whatever other moons, any number, and that was and rings even, and that was fine. But
Right.
Earth was a one moon, yeah. So this
Yeah,
second
we only get one moon.
moon's a stretch, but
Well, this Earth
right.
this is like a
Um,
mini moon. This isn't like a
yeah,
real
but
moon.
anyway, so I was curious if there's anything else orbiting Earth. Mhm.
So I think the lesson.
Yeah,
Sorry, I was going to say I think the lesson from this story,
that's exactly right.
scientifically,
That's exactly where I
blowjobs
was going
don't
to go
count.
with this. Um, yeah, no, but yeah, it's for Earth. It's just these two things, but in the process of researching that, and I'll wrap up this story here. I just want to drop this bomb on you and the listeners here because I had no idea. Um, the I learned that okay, at least for me, I grew up. There are 9 planets in the solar system. Now Pluto, maybe not, right? So we're arguably down to 8. Um, there are actually 5 dwarf
Hmm.
planets in our solar system that never I've never heard of in my life. Have never made the list of like celestial objects in our solar system. Um,
What are they?
There is
Besides
aside from
Pluto,
Pluto, there's and some of these are Hawaiian because that's where the observatory was where they discovered it. Uh, there is Haumea,
of course.
uh, uh,
God, we got to build one in Jersey.
Kuora or
Hmm.
Kuor, Maka Maka, Gong Gong, and Eris. So we have 5 extra planets in our solar system. Eris, Eris.
Eris.
That
Jason, do you love when you read something that has like a name that's like not from white people? Because then I just have to sit there
yeah.
very respectfully
Yes,
while you read the
I
names.
deliberately picked these. Um, yeah. So like for instance, uh, Haumea was discovered in 2004. It orbits. It's beyond Neptune's orbit. Eris is 2005, and it is. It doesn't say where,
Mhm.
or at least I'm not looking. Uh, but anyway, the point being, like, man, there's a lot of shit out there. It's it's uh, it's wild to me. Like we have no idea.
You know what else? Mhm. Yeah. No, you don't know. This was gonna say like
Right.
we don't even know what else is out
Right.
there even within our own solar system. Uh,
Yeah. Uh huh.
it's good. It's a good thing we have a space
Right.
force. We
You
got to
never know.
keep guns pointed
Hmm.
at these little moons. What if they have big? Because a little a gun in the
Yes.
hands of a
Yeah.
little moon
I do
is
not
still
want to
a
see that
really
gun.
big gun.
Yeah. Not pointed at Earth.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
that's something for you guys to think about. Because we're going to take a quick break. You guys aren't even going to hear it because I'm not going to
Right.
fuck up editing, even if we are recording on new software this week. You guys don't need to worry
Uh
about
huh.
that from the
Yeah.
most reliable podcasters in the business. Uh, and we will
Yeah.
be right
Sure.
back. Yeah, I feel like it's always easier to say take five
I'm
rather than
sorry.
take 10 because this is almost 13 minutes after I said take five. Anyway, guys, welcome back. As you can hear by my dog being mid barking
Yep.
in the background, time has passed. And we have more weird, wacky, and wild news to talk to you guys about. And that weird, wacky, and wild news is
Do I need a drum roll?
not on my phone right now. One second. Here we go. Yeah, if you could do that actually.
Psh.
All right, stop drum rolling. I
Mm.
found it. This is from News Nation. Of course, they
Hmm.
reported very heavily on the UFO
Yeah.
testimonies in over the summer. Las Vegas
Yeah.
non-human UFO encounter traumatizing, says teen. Las
Hmm.
Vegas family said non-human being was in their backyard. 1 year later, they're standing by their story, and investigators have no concrete answers in the case. This was written by Liz Jasson and Alex
Sure. All right.
Caprariello. The Las Vegas teenager who claimed something crashed in his backyard last year, prompting a 911 call about non human beings, is speaking out for the first time. Angel Kenmore, 17, said in an exclusive interview with News Nation national
Uh huh.
correspondent Alex Caprariello that he saw a quote unquote giant creature who he believes may have been a quote unquote demon, but quote unquote only God knows. Kenmore said he felt paralyzed after looking at the entity for about 30 seconds. He remembers closing
Hmm.
his eyes and praying for it to go away.
No.
It's not very
No, that's not.
nice.
That's not a very nice welcome. Although I've definitely closed my eyes and prayed for people to go away sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, for
Right.
sure. No, I do that every time someone knocks at my
Yeah.
door, but at the end of the day,
Maybe
like,
cower behind the couch too. But yeah, someone you just met for the first time. I don't know. But it did crash in his yard. Who am I to judge? Yeah.
yeah. Who are we to judge after all? Alex Angel
Uh-huh.
Kenmore, 17, said in an exclusive interview, I already said that.
Mm.
Quote, it was moving and breathing. It was pissed off, like it wanted to do something, looking at me. I remember he was growling. Despite receiving numerous threats, Kenmore and the rest of his family have stood by
Mm.
their original report from April 30th, 2023. They can think whatever they want, Kenmore told News Nation. If I was doing it for fame, I would be on YouTube. I made no money off of this. I don't need money. It was a really bad and
Right.
traumatizing experience. Police body cam footage from the Metro Las Vegas police footage shows a
Mm.
flash across the sky the night of the family's sighting, adding intrigue to the mystery. News Nation local affiliate KLAS reported.
Yeah.
The American Meteor Society, hopefully
Yeah.
one day we'll find a cure, says they are sure it was a meteor that caused a freak in the night sky, with 21
Hmm.
reported sightings of it stretching across
Sure.
California, Nevada, and Utah. We're certain it was a meteor because of the duration of the event, said
Uh-huh.
Robert Lunsford of the American Meteor Society. Most everybody
Mm.
reported it lasted between 2 and 5 seconds. That's much too fast to be a re entering satellite or rocket. Long enough to
Could be.
be
Yeah.
Jason Strong, though. Sorry, you knew it was coming.
Well, who knows how fast a UAP can travel, but yeah, so he's ruling out terrestrial. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Hmm.
Yeah, no, it
Right.
wasn't like,
Right.
like an airplane. Which obviously, based on what he's describing, it would be fucked up if he was describing like
Right.
it looked like a
It
demon
was
and it
a
was just a
it was a
horrifically
massive
burned
tragedy,
plane
and he's
crash
like,
survivor.
"Oh God, go away." Right. Call 911, dude. Yeah. No, thank you.
Gross. Claims of a UFO, aliens, and military activity have all been viewed in a different light since Pentagon
Uh-huh.
whistleblower David Grush, in an interview with News Nation, alleged a
Right.
covert crash retrieval program of non human spacecraft.
Okay.
And that's the end of
Do
the
we what
article.
do we think about what did they referred to it as, what, a non-human being? The the
Yeah, he said it. He described it as growling. We
right.
didn't get
Well,
much of a
just like
like
non-human
appearance
being is
description
so
though.
like, I have a non-human being sitting right next to me. It's my fucking cat. Like, that's a non-human being. Yeah, like that
So I'm
doesn't really
thinking my
convey
dog is a non-human being.
I guess what I think they want it to convey, right? I think they mean like a non-terrestrial, or yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's too. Well, it's like when in the UFO testimonies when they said like, oh,
Right.
there were non-human biologics in these
Right. Did
crashes.
it
It's
land
just
on a
like, okay, is that like
deer?
a
Yeah.
bird that flew into the
Right. Right.
engine, or is that like an alien? You assume it's the latter
Right.
because they'd be able to say if it was a bird,
Yeah. No,
but
it's just, yeah, it's really vague, and I don't care for that term. So yeah, I guess I imagine it would be pretty traumatizing to see something like that. Um, although I guess I'm curious if something did crash, something crashed and they called 911.
probably.
What happened to what crashed? Like presumably the non-human being took off. But when there, what happened to, or I guess it didn't even mention a ship. Maybe it was just a non-human being, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of unanswered questions.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Maybe he's sitting in Las Vegas
That
jail
could
right
be.
now, waiting to have his story
Right.
told by a brave News Nation
Yeah.
journalist.
Affiliate, what, KLCA or whatever the hell it was. They're in Vegas. KLAS.
KLAS,
Man. Yeah. No.
the
Absolutely.
classiest name in journalism.
Yeah.
Uh,
So sorry. Yeah,
anyway, Jason, I think that you have
I
a
do.
banger of a
I
story
do. And this
to close
sort of
us out
ties
on.
this together. Um, uh, arguably, the story you just said, uh, maybe some miscommunication between the teenager and the non-human being, insofar as the teenager felt it was making threatening or you know, wanted to do
Right.
something. Um, so obviously,
Mhm.
how are we going to communicate with any
Mhm.
extraterrestrial non-human beings? Well, scientists are working on that. This story comes from the Independent. This The author
Right.
is uh, Vishwan Sankaran.
Ooh.
Sankaran. Scientists claim.
And it's good that we're reading a story from the Independent, I want to say, before we continue, because, like, we think of
Uh
anyone
huh.
you know who describes
Exactly.
themselves as an
Yeah.
independent.
No,
Totally
nothing
rational.
problematic. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. So, yeah, this is obviously very trustworthy because it is independent, right?
It
Or I
never
don't
just
care
means I
enough.
don't know
I
how to
can't be
read.
bothered to look into any of this. Um, yeah, scientists claim to have successfully conversed with a whale. The scientists in question here, they're from the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, or SETI.
Hmm.
Are you at all familiar? Have you ever heard, like, what do you know about SETI?
I think we've met. Have
I
we
know we
mentioned
talked
SETI
about
on the
it
show before?
in a couple of the failed
I don't think
failed
so.
recordings. I don't know if any of it made it into a podcast release.
Yeah, I don't know anything other than what we talked about in two failed recordings
Right,
on three different
right.
streaming
um,
apps.
yeah, that's the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. It's kind of a consortium of scientists and researchers from a variety of institutions across the globe. They've been at it from late '70s, early '80s, and they're fairly respectable in terms of like scientific rigor. Like Carl Sagan was a big proponent of SETI. Um,
Hmm.
anyway, the scientists at SETI claim they've had a conversation with a humpback whale in Alaska, which they used as a proxy for communicating with aliens. So the whole experiment was to see if we can communicate sort of across like a species
Man,
barrier. Um, Whales and yeah. Go ahead.
you think you think that the whale asked, "What do you guys call us?" And he
Right.
said, "The whale with a normal back."
Do you think the whale would find that offensive, or they would be like, "No, I'm proud of my home"? This is a.
I I don't know. I think it'd be weird if we asked chimps like, "What do you call us?" And they'd
I
be
don't think
like,
that.
"The weird hairless
I don't,
dick guys."
I
Wouldn't
don't
apply
think
to
that'd be weird at
aliens.
all. Actually, I think that's pretty on the nose for. That's a pretty salient observation on the part of the chimp. Whales were
Yeah,
chosen for
no.
this experiment. Kind of famously have pretty complicated communication, as far as we can determine, with each other. Their whale songs travel thousands of miles. Uh, Pretty sure they're communicating, greeting each other, calling each other together. I don't
Mhm.
know, talking about talking about their favorite Netflix shows. I presume. I don't know how much whales have to communicate.
Oh,
That
yeah, for
could be.
sure. Maybe their favorite
Man.
podcasts?
Hmm.
If they start starting their own, we gotta start hunting more of those fuckers, though.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm not. I'm not endorsing whale hunting. Not only. Yeah, yeah.
Hunt the whales.
Only in
Jason
self
Strong says
defense.
hunt them.
Only in self defense is
Is the oil from sperm whales good
I don't
oil? Can
think
we
we
still
really
use
need
that?
anything that from whales anymore. Like I think that was like lamp oil and shit, and now that's all like petrochemicals, which is a whole different ethical problem. But we're not murdering en masse
Well,
yet.
yeah, exactly.
You
Maybe
think
we should
so?
try
Go back to
powering
that.
our cars with whale oil. Is that
Probably.
controversial? Is that
Right.
maybe that's not the most politically correct thing to say, but we
There we
got to
go.
start
Yeah.
powering our cars with whale oil. I think bring back whaling. Formula One. You've
Uh-huh.
heard of Formula E, where they do the Formula
Right.
One electric cars. I want Formula
Spoken
W.
spoken an unproblematic opinion from a true independent. A real free thinker. um, for this study, which occurred just recently, the researchers played recordings of humpback whales to other whales off the coast of Alaska. They found that while most of the whales ignored the recorded calls, one of them, a female named Twain, circled the scientist's boat, mimicking the noises for about 20 minutes. They go on to say researchers are not entirely sure what the recorded call meant, but suspect that it's
Hmm.
kind of a contact call that whales use to call each other. Uh, yeah, I don't know.
I think that what the whale was
I was
saying was,
thinking,
why the
like,
fuck did you
either we
call
already
me
are
Twain?
communicate with whales and she told us her name was Twain, or we picked like this ludicrous name for a whale. Yeah, like that. I don't even know.
Yeah, because at first it was like Twain. That doesn't sound like a lady's name, and then I thought more. I'm like,
No, it's
Twain.
not
That's
any
not a
first name
first
I've encountered.
name.
Now, in my limited experience, but um, yeah, I have no idea. And that's true.
Yeah, we don't know every
As much
person.
as we try. Um, yeah, that we may have been saying right,
Yeah, I've met a lot of
upwards of
people.
40.
Some would say
Yeah.
a
Uh,
slice of them. At least 40
doc,
people a year.
researcher said, might have been us saying hello and her responding hello and us saying hello again, Dr. Walker explained. Now, okay, I'm all for, like, I think this kind of research is good and interesting. Um, in terms of, like,
Might have
yes,
been.
if we're looking to the future, where we do encounter other intelligent non-Earth species, how would we communicate? This is something I think worth investigating. I'm a little dismayed that we are just now getting. Yeah,
But
go
here's
ahead.
the thing. Here's the thing, though.
Yeah,
I have an interest in primates a little bit, and this approach with
right.
those—that's how you
Yes,
get your arms and
and
dick ripped
also,
off.
like, it's dismaying that, like, really we're just now getting around to playing whale recordings to whales to see what they do. Like, dude, it's 2024. Like, we've been sitting on this shit at least my entire life.
I know.
Like, we've released albums of whale songs just for people to listen to.
I
Right.
know. We could
And no
show them
one
video videos. I know. We've
yeah,
listened to
isn't that
more
crazy?
whale recordings than the average whale.
They're just now thinking of doing that. Uh,
And we need to. We're going to need to play them whale recordings because they're going to
that's
hear
right.
fewer live
Uh-huh.
whales, and we start getting the oil
Um,
from them again.
yeah. So, the idea here is that by, doing this experiment, they're trying to figure out how to communicate across species barriers to other intelligent forms of life. As you correctly summarized, yeah, this seems like a horrible idea if you don't know what it is that you're communicating. Like, if we make first contact, think of the last story, right? Dude, teenager, you know, uh,
Yeah,
bang, there's a crash in the backyard. There's a what would we say, non-human being or whatever. Um, Kid runs out and he starts playing recordings. Like, we don't know if we're saying hi, we don't know if we're saying fuck you, we don't know if we're saying, this planet's mine now, or how do I get to Starbucks or any of that. So,
Yeah.
right. And
Please
I
fuck.
would have to assume that's probably going to be the first thing that aliens ask us, right?
Do you wanna be sucking an alien's dick
Right.
for your job? Do you want your new full-time
Right.
job to be
Right.
an alien
Well, that
fluffer
Jason
because
Sands
you
guy he talked
misspoke?
about seemed like he wouldn't be into something like that. Um, you know, and now that I'm talking about this,
Not no,
no, yeah, good for him.
he
Now
quit
that I'm
while the
talking
going
about
was
this,
good.
isn't this the plot of a Star Trek movie? Uh, that there's there's some big extraterrestrial force or being that was communicating with Earth's whales, and because of our treatment of the environment in the future, whales were extinct, and so the big force comes to Earth, and ends up, I think there's a fight or something. So Star Trek has to go back in time and Star Trek.
I think this Traveler
I
campaign
think
you
it's
played
something I
on
came up with
TNT.
after I fell down the stairs and had a head injury. No, I'm pretty sure it's like Star Trek 4 or something where they go back. They have to go back in time they come to like 1980s San Francisco and have to like take a whale into the future because the yeah, like the whale song was the
Taking a
yes.
whale.
All right, now I'm gonna look. I can't be hallucinating this.
Huh.
Um,
You very well can be hallucinating this, Jason. You are getting up there.
right,
This could be the first side of, the Jason
right,
retirement home arc
yeah,
of the podcast.
right. From here on out, I'll just like start talking about uh like elements of culture that never existed, but confidently asserting that no, this is true. Uh, yes, uh, it is Star Trek 4: The Voyage Home, directed by Leonard Nimoy. Um, yeah,
They took I mean, I know he was really into
it
kidnapping
was. Yeah,
whales into
no,
the
he was
future.
super.
That
It
was like
was
his
it was
passion
really
project,
weird,
right?
especially like he would refer to it, but not in the context of a Star Trek movie. And you'd think like Leonard, what the get a hobby, buddy. Like what's going on?
Yeah, no, I mean they had to. That was the two conditions for Paul McCartney to do that episode of The Simpsons were number one, um, they had to make Lisa a vegetarian, and number two, they had to edit out in the Leonard Nimoy cameos when he would say
Right.
"kidnap a
Yeah.
whale,
Yeah. It was
kids"
super
at the end
awkward.
of each episode.
Yeah, you can only see those scenes now in the Matt Groening
Yeah.
cut of The Simpsons.
Yeah, man, and I'll tell you something else. I don't want to dig myself any deeper after the whale comments, but these allergies, and you hear how dry my throat is, they've got me feeling
Yeah,
like Leonard Nimoy a little bit.
yeah, I like that guy. Um, yeah, no, that was cool. Kind of
Yeah,
I
no, he was
know,
a
but
great
yeah,
guy. R.I.P.
nah,
It's
no,
actually
it's
very
fine.
sad. I felt
Um,
bad as I made that
no,
joke.
a lot of cool stories. I think this week that no, nobody cares.
No one's gonna hear
Um,
it.
yeah, kind of a UFO heavy episode, but yeah, kind of interesting. I don't know. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
yeah.
last
UFOs
few.
really having a moment in a way I don't remember. Like
Yeah,
this being quite the case, like through the most of the rest of my life. I don't know.
yeah. Since Jason was
Right.
in high
Hmm.
school, and 47,
Yeah.
48.
Yeah.
But anyway, and you know
Yeah.
what? Thank you guys so much for listening. I know what you guys are thinking. How do these guys volunteer their time
Uh huh.
through the perils of tech
Yep.
issues and
Uh huh.
seasonal allergies and light Zoom lag? I
Hmm.
and the answer is just that we care so much about you. And I'm not going to get into a closing catchphrase yet because I have to do some plugs that I forgot about. You can follow us on social media
Yep.
Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Underworld News Tonight. I should be back to getting clips up
Yeah.
soon. We're
Yeah.
changing up some recording
Mhm.
stuff. As you've kind of heard at the beginning of this episodes, we're going to see what we end up with and what switch
Mhm.
we end up making, but you'll be able to see some clips again soon. Uh, you can also follow me on social media. Andrew Michaels Comedy, Instagram,
Yeah.
TikTok, YouTube.
Jason V. Strong.
And
Yeah.
you can
I'm
follow
only on
Jason on
Instagram at the
Instagram.
moment. Although I did, I totally forgot about this. Uh, Man, about 8 years ago, I briefly had a travel blog, and it was for maybe a year, uh, and I have to assume because of this
Oh, wow.
podcast, there people have found it because I've been getting notifications that like new likes on some shit that I wrote like 8 years ago. So yeah, so that's fun.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Interesting.
yeah,
So you can also read his travel blog from 8 years ago.
okay,
Uh,
okay.
check that out as well. As far as any plugs go,
Yeah,
big ones
yeah,
are we're going to be at Squonkapalooza August 10th
yeah. I'm excited.
in Johnstown, Pennsylvania.
Hmm.
Representing the Squonk, come to our
Yeah,
booth, come party, come hang out. It'll make
maybe
our
you can,
day. We'll appreciate it.
maybe you can, maybe you can
Um,
tell us what a squonk
that's
is.
number one. Number
Or
two,
I was gonna say maybe
I'm going to be in a
stop by and
comedy
tell us what a
competition.
squonk
I'm sorry, what
is.
were you going to say? We
No,
maybe
we'll
they
figure it
can.
out. Yes,
We
we
would
know.
no, we'll look it up. We have looked it up. We do the
No,
research. We've
no,
never
never.
gone in blind on this show. You
Uh-huh.
guys listen to us for our
Okay.
vigorous reporting, and we're going to continue that at Squonkapalooza. Uh, you can also catch me at a comedy
Mhm.
competition on June
Mm,
28th in Sandoval, Illinois. Capture the Crown at Mugshots. It's going to be, I think it's at 8
mm.
p.m., but I'm not sure. It might be closer to 10 p.m. But it's going to be me, a bunch of other comedians doing 7 minutes on stage, crowd
Okay.
choice winner. So if you guys get out there, uh, vote for me if I'm good. But honestly, if you're listening and you're a fan enough to get out there, I feel like I've given you enough entertainment through this
Yeah.
podcast at this point that I've earned a free vote. Can I say that? Is that
I mean, it
allowed
sounds
to
fair to me,
say?
but yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends on who the other comedians are.
And I know what you got. That's true. That's true. Some of them could be funny, in which case I'm fucked. Uh, I know what you guys are thinking. Man, it's going to be so long since I can hear these guys
Mhm.
again next week and see them live.
No.
And I hope they don't announce any vacations soon because that would be horrible. Because over the last 7 months, I've grown so accustomed to being around that
Mhm.
if they took even, let's say, 2 weeks off and
Devastating.
announced that in a week, then it would be an absolute nightmare.
Mhm.
But you guys don't even need to
Mhm.
worry about that right now because you should live in the
Mhm.
moment because at the end of the
Okay.
day, it's all
Thanks.
phantom time. But right now,